Sweet Science Brothers coming to you live from NYC. What up, YouTube boxing fans? It's your boy Avdi, Sweet Science, NYC. Alright, guys. I want to talk about the end of an era, man. Saturday was a hell of a night of boxing, man. Hell of a fucking night of boxing. So much boxing that, like, it was just hard to keep up with everything, man. And, I'm going through a transition period, so I can't really, right, for the next couple of months, I'm gonna keep dropping videos, but I can't keep up with that type of pace. But regardless, I checked out all the fights. And this video is about Vladimir Klitschko versus Tyson Fury. The end of a motherfucking era, man. What a fight. I mean, it was really boring, don't get me wrong, but what do you expect from a Klitschko fight? You know what I'm saying? The guy's boring as hell, He's, he's just honestly, he's a defensive, safety-first fighter. The only difference is that he fights everybody. But he's safety-first all the way. And he's had, an 11-year reign almost. The guy's been beating the shit out of people. And also he's been stinking joints out with his clinch, pot shot, and hold style. And a lot of fighters, like to do that. Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, and other guys, they like to, not all the time. They can do. All of these guys that I'm mentioning are talented, and there's a lot of people criticizing me for my other videos because sometimes I call certain fighters cowards, this, that, and the third. Let me just say something for the record. No boxer is a coward, okay? I'm passionate when I'm making my videos, and sometimes I say shit, that I mean at the time. When I say a fighter's a coward, I don't mean like a literal coward. I just mean that right now, at this particular moment, that fighter's pulling a bullshit move or trying to avoid a fight with somebody else who's at their skill set, okay? And when a fighter is doing something like that in their career, I call them a coward, okay? But let's clarify. No boxer is a coward. On the pure definition of the word coward. When I call a fighter a coward, it's because they're trying to avoid a fight using some bullshit catch weight or some bullshit network or promoter excuse or saying some bullshit like, oh, let that guy hasn't fought nobody, let him go fight this other guy. Instead of saying, I'll beat the shit out of him, I'm the champ, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, you're making excuses. When a fighter does that, I call them cowards. Also, when a fighter pot shots and clinches and does 80-something clinches in a fight, I call that guy a fucking coward as well. It's not the literal sense of the word because, let's face it, these guys are professional fighters, and I love boxing, and I love boxers. When I call a fighter a coward, just to clarify, I'm specifying or I'm being specific to that fighter in a particular situation when he's trying to avoid a fight using all types of excuses. Sorry about that, going off on that tangent. Now, going back to Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury, what can I say about the fight? Vladimir Klitschko, an end of an era, an end of his reign. And, it was interesting to see Vladimir Klitschko in a position that he was in. First of all, I didn't make a prediction for this video because I really, truly believe that Tyson Fury, I thought it was a 50-50 fight and I was favoring Tyson Fury. But I didn't make a video because I was like, I just didn't feel confident about picking a winner. I just thought it was a toss-up fight. But I know that earlier on Saturday, there were rumors spreading on the internet and something about how the ring in Germany was padded with some type of like 3-inch foam, and that Vladimir's team was responsible for that. And that was really interesting. There were only two reasons why a fighter would try to do something like that. One, it's because he's thinking that he's going to taste the canvas. That's the less likely one. But it's possible that he was thinking, oh, I might get dropped once in this fight. Let me pad this ground up. Because believe it or not, a lot of knockdowns, a lot of damage happens when a knockdown occurs. A lot of damage happens when somebody's head hits the canvas. The canvas, if any of you have ever boxed before, the canvas is hard as hell. It's not padded. You know what I'm saying? It's not springy. That shit is really hard. That's why you sometimes you see boxers drop, they crack their head on that floor. It's really hard, okay? Anyway, that's the less likely reason why. But another reason was, and this is the likely reason, is to, slow Tyson Fury's boxing down, slow down his movement. Because Tyson Fury is like, he's one of those, like, rhythm fighters, you know what I mean? He's just dancing around in a rhythm, and despite being 6'9" and being a fucking monster, he boxes for the full 12 rounds. He has incredible stamina for a guy his size. It's amazing. So that's the more likely reason why the Klitschko team tried to do that, and Fury's team was really astute. They're big students of the game, obviously. His whole family is. That's why they named him Tyson. Those are boxing fans. He comes from a family of boxing heads, So they picked up on that shit right away, reported it, they removed it, and it was a regular ring at the end of the day. But when I saw this news, that made me give, in my mind, I was like, oh, Tyson Fury has a big edge there. That means that, he's afraid of Tyson Fury. Not afraid to the point where he is not taking the fight, because obviously he's fighting him, but clearly he's looking for an edge. This guy is a big threat to Klitschko. Obviously, if he's looking to cheat, looking to have some type of edge in the fight with some illegal tactics like that, that's definitely illegal. So that shows you psychologically, like, Klitschko knew who he was fucking with. Like, he knew who he was dealing with. Excuse the language. I'm going to try to tone the language down from time to time. So going back to the fight now. So that was an interesting fight because it was the first time I've ever seen Vladimir Klitschko face somebody who was a lot bigger than him and that knew how to box and throw a jab and use the height. And it was really interesting seeing Klitschko get a taste of his own medicine, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was really interesting. You're in the ring with a guy who's taller than you, who has longer arms than you, who's jabbing you, who's moving, who's utilizing his size on you. And that was very interesting to see, Vladimir have to deal with a strategy that he has employed on his opponents. Finally, that same strategy being employed on him. That was really interesting. And he was, it really psychologically affected him. I mean, in the first and second round, you could see that Tyson Fury's jab was longer. There were times where Klitschko threw his jab would miss by like half an inch, and then Fury would launch his jab and just crack him right in his forehead or whatever. And there was a look in Klitschko's eyes that was like, oh my God, this guy's got more range than me. What am I going to do? There was kind of like a panic. He wasn't hurt or anything. It was just a panic like, wow, this guy has more range than me. How the fuck am I going to deal with that? And he became so gun shy. And it just felt to me like the first 6 rounds, he basically like just gave those rounds away. He was gun shy. He was just following Fury. He wasn't throwing any punches. He wasn't throwing his right hand. He was just getting jabbed, moving, and Fury was just jabbing him and moving and just keeping his range. And Fury was doing exactly what he was supposed to do. And I was really surprised that Vladimir didn't, I was surprised that he didn't throw more punches. And, he just didn't look, he just didn't look confident in this fight at all, Vladimir Klitschko. I feel like Tyson Fury, I don't know if any of you were following the build-up to this fight, but Tyson Fury was playing, high-level mind games with Vladimir Klitschko. High-level mind games. The trash talk was epic. Epic trash talk. Epic trash talk. And I feel like that affected him and broke him down mentally to a degree. I really do. It appeared that way in the fight. And just the size and the movement of Tyson Fury was just amazing. I didn't like, it was kind of a boring fight, honestly, but this guy is like a 6'9" beast. I think he's 6'9". I might be off by an inch, but Tyson Fury is huge, man. He is fucking huge. And just the way he's circling around the ring, jabbing, moving. And, you know, I don't know, man. It's like when he's boxing, it just feels like, honestly, if you hit the mute button and play some smooth jazz, it's just like, beat up, scoobly bop 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 bop. You know, like that's how Tyson Fury was just like, he's just juking and jiving and moving, circling the ring, throwing a jab, you know, taking a step back, going to southpaw, tossing a little jab and stepping back again, doing some shifting there. And, you know, he felt so safe against Vladimir Klitschko. He was even keeping his hands down. He didn't feel threatened at all. And, you know, and then in the second half of the fight, in the later rounds, Vladimir finally, you know, he started throwing a couple more punches. He tried, you know, but it was too little too late. And when he did throw some more punches, Tyson Fury busted him up a little bit, man. I mean, I felt like, honestly, Tyson Fury could have done more too. And I feel like we've just witnessed, you know, the passing of a torch right there. And, you know, I just think that Tyson Fury is, he's just solid. The size, the stamina, the movement. You know, we're going to see this guy for a long time. We're going to see this guy, Tyson Fury, for a long time. And I think he's all wrong for Klitschko. And I think that if they have a rematch, Tyson Fury is going to whoop his ass again. You know, you know, it's possible Klitschko beats him. Klitschko's a legend. Don't get me wrong. It's just the styles make fights. And I feel like Fury's style poses way too many problems for Klitschko. You know, I just feel like, you know, if Klitschko was more aggressive and if Klitschko let his hands go more, I think Fury would have capitalized. That's how I feel. I just feel like Fury would have capitalized. Fury would have just thrown more punches and landed more. And I just feel like he was given, you know, he was able to just interrupt Vladimir Klitschko's rhythm, and he was able to make Vladimir Klitschko constantly reset. And he was able to, with his footwork, he was able to keep the fight at a pace that was very uncomfortable for Vladimir. And, you know, Vladimir Klitschko is a legendary all-time heavyweight fighter. He's really great, and he had such a long reign, and his brother had such a long reign, and his brother retired because I don't know if you guys keep up with it, but his brother retired because he wanted to become the president of Ukraine, and he ran for the presidency there, not mayor, not senator, but president, and he lost. And then he just didn't go back to boxing. I guess he got out of shape, or I don't know. I really don't know what his plan is, but they're both a little old, and maybe it's time. He's definitely going to rematch Tyson Fury, but he had an incredible reign and an incredible career, and, you know, I just think Tyson Fury's particular style is all wrong for him, and I feel like, you know, when Floyd Mayweather retired, don't get me wrong, like, Floyd Mayweather's the kingpin and the #1 guy, and he retired. He may have one more fight, and then we have Manny Pacquiao, we have Vladimir Klitschko, we have like a lot of guys that have been reigning for a long time, and I feel like this was the first fight that we saw a passing of the torch right there. Klitschko, he got taken out by a young lion right there, and I think in the rematch he'll lose again. It might be a little closer, but I just feel like Tyson Fury's, he's just all wrong for Klitschko, his style. He's all wrong for a lot of guys. He's very unique, Tyson Fury, very unique. And, you know, then I feel like Manny Pacquiao is going to fight, you know, Terence Crawford, hopefully. And, you know, Pacquiao could beat Terence Crawford. I heavily favor Terence Crawford. Everyone who's a subscriber knows that. By the way, Terence Crawford is my #2 pound-for-pound guy, you know, or he's from 2 to 5. I don't really have a pound-for-pound list, but Terence Crawford is my favorite fighter, and I favor him to beat Manny Pacquiao if that fight happens. And if Floyd Mayweather had the balls, and don't get me wrong, he's a fighter and all that, but if he had the balls to fight somebody like Kell Brook, or, you know, like a young undefeated guy, or a lion like Terence Crawford, somebody like that, I think his torch would get passed too. So it's a new era in boxing, and I feel like this was the first torch passing that we've seen, and the landscape of boxing is slowly clearing up. Let me know what you guys thought about the fight. Sweet Science Brothers coming to you live from NYC. Holla at your boy. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.